One day Jesus was talking about the greatest commandment. He had actually been asked that by a lawyer. What is the greatest commandment? He not only gave the answer to that, but answered something that wasn't asked. The greatest commandment is love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. The second, he said, is likened to it. Love your neighbor as yourself. That lawyer, Luke says, wanted to justify himself. As he said, but who is my neighbor? To that, Jesus told the famous story of the Good Samaritan. I suppose it's one of the most familiar lessons that Jesus taught because of that story of the Good Samaritan. The story is a man was going from Jerusalem down to Jericho. He fell among thieves. They beat him, robbed him, stripped him, left him half dead. A priest came by. Oh, he would surely help. No, he went by on the other side. A Levite did the same thing. And then a Samaritan stopped and helped. And can you imagine how the Jewish people chafed as Jesus told that parable? Notice what the Good Samaritan did. He risked his own safety because the robbers could have still been there. He risked getting some disease or at least having to deal with a messy situation as the man was bleeding. He bound up his wounds. He set him on his own donkey, and that donkey could only carry one person. So the rest of the way he had to walk. He took him to an inn where he paid for him, not only that night, but for additional nights. And he took care of him through the night. I imagine he lost some sleep. When Jesus finished that, he asked, who do you think proved to be neighbor to the man who fell among the thieves? The lawyer wisely answered, the one who helped him. The lesson of Luke 10, verse 37 still rings true for us as a commission today. Go and do likewise. And every time we help someone who's in need, we feel good about it. We recognize that we're doing the Lord's work, fulfilling that command. I read once of a man who was walking on a street late in the afternoon. He was hurrying along when he saw a little boy crying. He looked around. No one was close to that young man, 6 or 7 years old. He stopped and asked, what's wrong? The little boy said, my dad sent me to the store to get a couple of items. He named what the items were, and he gave me a $5 bill, but I lost it. Well, then the man said, just go home and tell your dad you lost it. Everybody loses something. And he described his dad's treatment of him in terms that that man knew meant abuse. Not just correction, but abuse. And so he reached into his own wallet and pulled out a $5 bill and said, well, maybe you didn't really lose it. Maybe you dropped it and I picked it up. The little boy thanked him and ran off to the store to get some things. He said, I drove around the rest of that afternoon looking for someone who needed another $5 bill. It feels so good to be the Good Samaritan. I realize that's difficult in our world because there seem to be so many people in need. If you'll just go into the right neighborhood, look at television and you can help with people around the world. And I fear that sometimes we excuse ourselves saying, you can't help them all. No, but you can help one. How about today? Spending some time or keeping your eyes open for that one who proved neighbor to the man who fell among the thieves, the one that helped him. Go and do likewise.